Hello everyone, it's Sky here and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. Today is part 5, the final part of our Christmas color along. I'm assuming that you guys have already seen the first 4 parts if you're here, but if you haven't, definitely feel free to go do so. We've been working in Hannah Lynn's A Whimsy Girls Christmas, and the page that we have been working on is Santa's Helper. I'm going to tuck this piece of paper in behind her right away, as I normally do. That way I don't forget. Lately I haven't been, so I keep forgetting. But just to protect the tooth of the paper behind this one, because as you're pressing down, it will kind of indent the tooth, so this will kind of protect it and keep the tooth intact. So this is what we have so far. We don't really have a whole lot to do. However, I feel like what we have left to do is going to take longer than it looks like. So I'm not going to talk too much. We're pretty much just going to dive on in. I'm not exactly sure where I want to start. I'm kind of debating the Christmas tree, or just like, I don't know. Let's actually start with her skin maybe. Let's get that done, and then we'll probably do hair, then Christmas tree, and then just kind of work our way through it. All right, I'm gonna zoom on in and we'll get started. Here should be good. So when we did our Victorian Darlings color along, I found a new skin tone that I absolutely love. And by found, I mean I tried somebody else's and I loved it. I debated doing that on her skin, but since she's technically from the North Pole and that skin is fairly tanned, I'm going to stick with the skin tones that I usually use. So we're just going to keep it generic. So as always, starting in with our Parma Violet, we're going to start on her ears, which we don't usually see in Whimsy Girls. We don't usually see their ears. They're usually covered by their hair. So that's fun. So I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow, kind of along her head and on the bottom of this line here, and just a little bit where this top part of her ear is coming out of her head. And for the most part, our shadows are going to be the same as they always are. Basically going to frame the face so that way it doesn't look flat. We'll add a nose and just some other shadows where we think we need them. I always start off really light. Give her a little bit of a Cupid's bow. Do a little bit of a nose on both sides here because she's kind of looking at us straight on. So keep it even. Give her a little bit of shadow underneath her lip here. A little bit of a shadow on her eyelids here too. We can add a bit of a shadow kind of underneath this curly part of her hair that kind of comes out. Okay, it's pretty good for her face for now. Let's work on her chin, which that's going to be fairly shadowed. And then her skin here is going to be pretty shadowed as well. And we're not really going to see a lot of it because we are going to extend the poofiness of this. So that might actually get covered up slightly. I don't want to cover it up too much because my worry about adding in some like realistic looking fur here is that it might make these two parts combine together. And I don't really want that. Just give me 1 minute. Clean it out. All right. We'll kind of see how that goes though. Hopefully it turns out okay, but I don't want her skin to be too shadowed, so I don't really think we're going to be going back in to add too much of a shadow. I am just going to go along the very, very edges and just darken that up slightly. I want a little bit more of like a dramatic shadow, but it's going to fade out and be relatively light. Again, just because I want that kind of pale, she's not really going out tanning in the North Pole kind of look. Add a little bit of a shadow on this side of her nose because technically our light source is on the left side. And even though it's behind her and she wouldn't have a shadow on her nose from that source, I'm just going to add it anyways. We'll add a little bit of extra shadow maybe on the side of her face too. Just gonna try and blend. Her head is tilted at an awkward angle, so it's a little bit tricky here, but I'm going to try and blend the Parma Violet out just a little softer. You almost want it to blend into the white of the paper. That's how soft you want it. You don't want it to look like it just stops suddenly. Okay, our next color is the Nectar. So this is going to go directly over top of the Parma Violet. And I'm just lightly adding it in here. I'm layering quite a bit over top of it, but I'm not pressing very hard at all, kind of a light medium pressure. Lilo found the catnip on the floor. I gave Miko some catnip earlier because she's upset. Her fountain broke, so it was actually on my list for Christmas to get them a new fountain because I want a stainless steel one. The one I have is plastic and it's getting gross and it just doesn't look very good. I wouldn't drink out of it, so I definitely don't really want the cats drinking out of it. So I was planning on getting them a new one anyways, and then I noticed this morning she was kind of meowing at me. She was sitting over by the fountain, and I thought Rain unplugged it. I thought maybe it ran empty and then it needed to be filled, and usually he'll unplug it if he doesn't have time to fill it himself. But it was plugged in, but it wasn't running at all, so I think the pump finally gave out on it. The brand that I got doesn't sell new pumps, or doesn't sell the pump separately, and actually the brand that I got is currently unavailable. Whether it'll come back or not, I'm not sure. I don't really have time to wait though, because Miko has like urinary issues and such, so getting her to drink water is extremely important. So I got to try and find another fountain that has good reviews that I think will work for what I need. That one lasted 3 years though, so I'm pretty happy with it, and I don't think I paid too much for it. So yeah, she's a bit upset, so I gave her some catnip to, I'd say chill her out, but it made her pretty wild, so forget about her problems. Maybe is the right way of saying that. Yeah, Christmas is coming early for the cats. Lilo, you don't need in there. That's not a hidey place. There's stuff in there. You can't even get in there. Look. She's satisfied. Back to her chair. I'm bringing this out just slightly past where we put the Parma Violet. I don't want to bring it out too far, but bringing it out a little bit will help it blend into the next color. Just going to very lightly go over this. We will kind of burnish this with the peach, which is our next color, but I want to go over it just a little bit more. And I think I'm going to bring the Parma Violet back. I like to just ease into it at first, but if these two look the same, then we definitely need some more Parma Violet. We need to darken it up a little bit. So I'm not going to push heavy or anything. I'm just going to lightly layer some more of this on top. I hate when people speed down our road. I always see kids and stuff playing, or like people walking on the road and stuff, because it's a pretty residential area. So when people speed down it, drives me crazy. Okay, and then we can go back over with the nectar. Okay, now a little bit of the nectar here. Gonna fade it up. Same thing, I'm just gonna lightly go over the whole area too, I think. Okay, going in with our peach. Again, I'm just gonna lightly add this in and then just blend it out and fade it out. We're gonna try and leave highlights anywhere we can for our light peach, which is gonna be our lightest color. That's what we're gonna use to burnish and kind of blend everything together. I'm just gonna talk to Rain here quick to see if we're grabbing carbon right away. He came in the house, but I don't know where he ran off to. Okay, we're just going to continue lightly going over our shadows, bringing the peach out from them a little bit, keeping highlights anywhere that we can. I think up on our forehead, I'm just going to go over this a decent amount with the peach. Having just like a tiny triangle of highlight here, just it always looks a little bit weird, so I'm not going to bother. We can go over as many times as we need to kind of build that color up. If it's not looking quite right or looks too splotchy, you can always add a little bit more, go over it a couple more times. Just don't increase your pressure. As long as you are working lightly, you can get a lot of layers down on the paper. Eventually it will burnish. It'll eventually work the tooth down to where it won't really take much, but if you're working lightly, you can get a lot of layers until you get to that point. I love how well these colors work together. They always look really good. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Let's go over here now. I'm not actually sure if I want to burnish this with the peach, but let's just start in lightly. We've already added a couple extra layers here, so I can feel that the tooth is not so much there anymore. So we definitely have to be careful. I'm just going to lightly kind of blend into this. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and kind of burnish this really shadowy area here. So I'm just going to keep layering and layering and blending, gradually increasing my pressure. And we'll just kind of fade it down. Yeah, that looks good. We can still go over it with the light peach. These ones, her arms here, I'm just gonna straight up color those in. Let's fade this one out a little bit. But we'll go over this spot quite a bit. Okay, so my light peach is pretty tiny. I'm gonna attempt to use this, and if not, I'm gonna have to grab my replacement. I should have before I started recording, but didn't really think of it. Let's see, so I have another pencil extender. I'm using all three of them. I gotta sort my shit out. Okay, so using the light peach. Oh, actually going back to the peach. Forgot an ear. I'm not used to coloring those. There we go. Okay, light peach. I'm going to start in with the shadows. And then we'll slowly work our way into the rest, just using a light medium pressure, going over everything, gradually increasing that pressure when we want to burnish. Okay, there's one ear done. This color really does just bring everything together. It softens it up so much. Okay, when we get into areas like this, where we really haven't done any layers whatsoever, I'm gonna soften up my pressure and we're gonna lightly go over it and we're gonna build up the layers of this color on here. You don't want to go in full force right away, otherwise you'll end up with some really patchy coloring. Even if we're just going in with a single color, we're not blending it in with anything, you still want to build up that layer. pencil extender is just not quite tight enough to keep the pencil there. Oh, before I get too far ahead of myself. Okay, it's coming with the mulberry. Just lightly right about here. And then we're going to fade it out. We'll do the same on this. We're just bringing it a little bit past the outer part of her eye. And then fading that out. And then we're going to switch to the hot pink. I'm going to carry this out to about just past the middle of her eye. So about here, we'll start fading it out. There we go. Almost forgot. Goodness. She looks so cute. Oh my goodness. All right, that's it for skin. I think we'll do her hair next, but I'm just gonna grab a brown fine liner. Again, just one of my trusty cheap studio fine liners. And we are just gonna pick out these freckles here. And then I'm just gonna add a couple of my own, just very lightly, little tiny ones. Just like that. Okay, super cute. Let's move on to her hair. So when I think dirty blonde hair, I generally lean towards this combo here that I found from Danny Bernier. I'm probably saying her last name wrong. But Danny from the Prismacolor group. She is actually the owner of it, or the founder, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I'm going to use similar colors to that. Not exactly, because I want to kind of use some of the same colors we have been using. I think it's almost time to start making some new swatches. Look at the color difference between these. They get quite dirty after a while. It's not bad though, it's okay. So I want to use, let's see, the dark umber, burnt ochre, goldenrod, yellow ochre, and jasmine. So basically using the same colors except for the dark brown. I'm going to use the dark umber since we've already used that on the page. One thing actually I'm going to do, just while it's on my mind, because I noticed that the marker kind of eventually bled through on the candy canes. So I want to bring back out the white, so I'm just going to try and very carefully do that. There. Better. All right, so as always, let's base. So we'll go in with our jasmine. Oh, we have a pencil here too. Totally forgot about that. Should be pretty easy to color. All right, so just gonna base her hair. Do we wanna, I don't think I'm going to. I'm not gonna work all the way up through it. I'm pretty confident with this color combination, so I'm just gonna go straight in with the dark umber. I'm gonna add just a couple lines as well. So basically on any of the lines, I'm gonna add a little bit of the dark umber on them. Maybe not any of them, but a good portion of them. Make it a little bit darker on this curl. Fade it out. We want it a bit darker underneath her hat. Again, I'm just going to pick out some of these lines to kind of color over. Okay, I think that's it for the dark umber. Let's go in with the burnt ochre now, and as always, that's just going to come out from the dark umber. I'm going to put it in on those lines that I did too. So we can definitely extend this out a little bit farther than we did the dark umber for our shadows. I do want this to be like a dirty blonde, so I definitely don't want to go too crazy with the shadows, but this color is definitely integral to the process. We can put this on some of the other lines that we didn't put the dark umber on too. Here, my baby's home. I'm just gonna go say hi to him. All right. I'm kind of on the fence about the goldenrod, but we're gonna go with it. I think I'm gonna kind of keep this over top of the browns. I'm not really gonna bring it out any farther for two reasons. One being I don't really have much room, and this is quite orange in color, so it might make her hair look a little bit too orangey and not so much blonde. And the second reason is I feel like it's more important for the brown parts anyways, to kind of help yellow them up so that way they don't stick out too much with the colors, the other colors that we have. Yeah, need a whole lot of it, but it does make a difference. I'm gonna switch back through the colors because I forgot about this little curly part. Let's add a little bit of dark umber. Probably just do a little bit of the goldenrod. There we go. Okay, yellow ochre is next. So we'll bring this out from our shadows. I'm going to put a fair bit of this in some areas, but we're going to leave highlights for our lightest color in quite a few. So in the shadowed areas, it'll be important to have this color. So up here, I'm pretty much just going to color this in. I'm not going to burnish anything. I'm going over everything with the jasmine, but we definitely want some more shadowed areas too. Okay, I think that looks okay. So let's go in with our jasmine, and this is what we are going to burnish everything with. I'm not really too worried about blending, so I am going in with more of like a medium firm pressure here. Kind of want to keep those streaks in there. It's nice if the colors blend and play together a little bit, but it's definitely not necessary for hair, in my opinion. I guess depending on what kind of hair you're going for. If you want like hair to be like one color and just like smooth and silky looking, then yeah, it'd be important. But this is more like go to the salon and get highlights and lowlights kind of thing. All right, I love that. That looks so good. I'm glad I went with blonde. I was debating brunette, but I thought it would be a little bit too dark. And I think it probably would have been okay if I went for like a lighter brown, but I can never get a light brown hair to look good. I usually always go with darker brown. Let's see here, what next? I suppose we could start on the tree now. Let's start coloring the accents on the tree. Make sure the whole tree is in frame, which I think, yeah, if we keep our page here, it should be. We can kind of color in this pencil around the same time here. We'll color in with the canary yellow, just base it. Hopefully we remember it. So I'm just gonna lightly go over these bulbs here. These are all gonna be gold. This might be unnecessary, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I wonder, this probably isn't the doorknob. It's probably a bulb on the tree, isn't it? Now that I'm thinking about it. Because that's an oddly placed doorknob. Oh well. It's a good thing I decided to do the bulbs gold then, I suppose. Just double check and make sure we're not missing any. I think it looks okay. Okay, so dark umber, we're gonna put them all like this then, bottom right. We don't have a lot of room to work here, but we definitely want the dark umber to be noticeable. Okay, goldenrod is next. We'll just bring that over top of the dark umber and then up a little bit and fade it out. That one's already done. What am I doing? Oh, and I forgot down here. I'm just gonna grab the dark umber again and just add a little bit down here. And add a little bit of the goldenrod onto this pencil. Just a little bit. We don't need a whole lot. Pencil's not going to be very detrimental to this. All right, canary yellow. And we're just going to go over this whole area, blending it all together. Okay, that's it for the gold. So what I'm going to do here for this pencil, I'm going to grab the jasmine. And I'm just going to lightly go over this top part here. And I'm going to grab the hot pink and just lightly go over the eraser. There we go. I'm done with the pencil. Okay, for the bows, let's start with the permanent red. And we are just going to color in this bow red as well too. We might as well. Okay, dioxazine purple hue. Don't need a whole lot of this at all. We just need a little bit in there to kind of insinuate a shadow. So I'm going to put a little bit on either side of the bow, like the knot on the bow, and then a little bit on the tops of these ribbons where it comes out. And that's it. That's all we really have room for. We are going to throw some of the Crimson Lake in here though. So bringing that out from those spots that we put the dioxazine purple hue, and just a little bit on the bottom half of the bow, the knot on the bow. I don't know if I got that one or not, but it doesn't look like it, so I'm going to go over it just in case. Okay, and then with the permanent red, we can go ahead and just burnish and finish these off. Yeah, got a caterpillar stitch. I was right. Mookey came in here for water, but he got distracted by the catnip covered mouse that I gave Miko. Are you high now? You're gonna eat my stuff? Brat. Okay, I think that's it for the bows. We're gonna grab a red fine liner. And we're gonna color in some spots on these candy canes. I'm not necessarily actually coloring in the lines that Hannah has. I'm kind of doing my own thing. As long as there's spaces in between, doesn't really matter. Okay, I think that's all of those. So our next step is the green. So I'm gonna go against what I usually do, which is work backwards. And I'm actually gonna go in with our shadow color because I'm pretty confident in this. These little pieces, I'm gonna do white. I'm gonna do like a white trim on these. Almost like they're like a, whatever doilies are, lace, almost like they're lace, that's what it is. I want it to look super delicate and just pretty. So yeah, I'm gonna go in with the dark umber and I'm gonna kind of create a shadow under these. And I'm gonna use, sorry, where I was going with that is I'm gonna use my Posca pen. So I'm not worried about coloring over them. However, if you don't have a white pen that can go over this and you want to do these white as well, you will have to be very careful and meticulous not to cover them up. So we're gonna have some shadows under those. We're gonna add a little bit of shadow underneath the bulbs. I'm gonna work really fast for two reasons. One, this is actually taking a lot longer than I thought it would. And two, I don't want this to look perfect. And working quickly, not so quick that we make mistakes, but working a little bit quicker helps not have that overthinking thing going on. Also want a little bit of a shadow underneath the bows here. Bows, whatever they're called. We want shadows there. A brown Christmas tree, could you imagine? I wonder if that would look good. I bet it would. Where is my dark green? Did I not grab that? I don't think I did. Hold on here. Or did I? I didn't. Okay, so the dark green is pretty much just gonna go over the brown. I'm not really gonna bring it out much from that. Another good thing about having like the darker colors, like shadows underneath the lace trim, that's what we're gonna call it, is it'll show up really nice. And I know I started off earlier saying that coloring the gold bulbs might be unnecessary, but I don't think I ever finished that thought. I think I do that a lot. I start saying something, but then I get distracted or like start explaining something and then forget to go back to what I was talking about. The reason that it might be unnecessary is I was debating using metallic watercolor. I don't think I'm going to anymore. I think I'm going to go for stickles instead. And I like to be very sparse with my stickles. I don't like to have a whole lot of them. I like a very subtle sparkle. So I also don't like when it's like really bumpy on the page either. So that might be part of it. So I still want my items colored because the color will show through the stickles. Okay, I think that looks good. Let's switch to our grass green now. Okay, we want a decent amount of this color. This is going to be pretty much our main tree color. So I'm going to go in a little bit heavier on the shadows, kind of fade out from there. And then I'm going to lighten up my pressure so I can kind of mix the greens together. So we add a little bit more just in here maybe. I like that. I'm going to go back to the dark green. I'm just going to add little bits here and there to this wreath. I'm going to make it look weird. Intentionally weird. Not in a bad way. I just want it to look like it's textured. So just by creating some kind of random lines there, makes it look a little bit textured. And then from those lines, we'll bring our grass green out. So I'm kind of bringing it out just on both sides of those lines. Fading it out. And then I don't know what color we're going to use to finish that because I don't know what color we're going to use to finish this and I don't want them to look the same. We could also, while we have our greens out, and we're actually not too bad for time, and I just realized that there's part of the tree down here. Okay, reroute. Guys, I'm not going to switch through swatches for this. I'm just going to tell you. So canary yellow. We're going to grab our dark umber. Add our little bit of shadow. Goldenrod. A little bit of that. Canary yellow. Finish it off. We're going to grab our red fine liner and hit up the candy cane. we're going to grab our dark umber again and add some shadow. Maybe a little bit up here too. We're going to grab our dark green, go over the shadow, down just slightly. We're going to grab our grass green, and again, come down from that shadow. All right, caught up. Chaos. Mass confusion. I'll get my shit together one day. It ain't today. Probably not tomorrow either. I make no promises. Dark umber. Let's work on these as well. Might as well, because they're all going to be done with the same colors. So I want these two leaves to be a little bit different, and maybe this back one too. We're just going to lightly go over that with the dark umber. Let's go in with the dark green, and we're just going to bring this out from the centers and then fade it out. This one here, the dark green, is going to be its shadow. So we're going to add a little bit on the bottom and then just bring that center stem up. This one, we're just going to color right on in with this. Let's switch to our grass green, which is going to finish off these darker leaves here. I'm not going to burnish with this though, I don't think. It's going to end up too dark. But we're going to add a decent amount. And let's add a little bit of the grass green here. All right, and then we're going to go in with our true green with a nice sharp tip. I had to empty out my pencil shavings bowl. I can't find my sharpener. It's getting buried. And we'll just color over all of this here. I think I'm going to grab the lime peel. Let's finish this one off with lime peel. Oh my goodness. All right, phone is in do not disturb. If people need to get a hold of me, they can call me. It's all good. Anybody important will go through my do not disturb. All right, so with our true green, we're going to bring this out. I think I'm pretty much just going to finish the tree off with the true green. I do have the chartreuse as well, so we might go over some of this and add a little bit of like a yellowed tone, maybe near the bulbs or like the highlight areas. We'll see. I was originally going to use the lime peel, but now after seeing it here, I don't mind it for the wreath, but I definitely don't want that for the tree. It's too murky. It's so pretty. I feel like the true green is kind of like the big brother to the light green, which is what we used for her clothes. So I feel like these greens do really play very well together. Okay. I like that. That looks so good. All right, so I've got the deco yellow here as well. Maybe. Did I grab it? Oh my goodness. That's another one I obviously did not grab. All right, I got it now. Okay, so I'm gonna add yellow kind of around the star here. I'm going lightly because I think I might want to add the canary yellow here too. But let's add the deco yellow in kind of like a spherical shape here. Okay, and we'll add some of the canary yellow in there because it's a little bit stronger. So I'm just not going to bring the canary yellow out as far. I'm going to kind of fade it out into the deco yellow. So we'll kind of just do a smaller circle with this. There. Lastly is our chartreuse. I'm gonna add just a little bit here. Oh yeah, just a little bit here and there. We'll focus on the highlights. That is cute. All right, let's grab our white. I'm gonna do some little dots in this wreath. We're gonna do these. We can bring some white back in the candy canes as well. Okay. I definitely want, we can work on details around here and on this side of the page, but once we start adding this stuff in, we're not going to want to be kind of working over top of it. So is there anything we think needs to be, I'm gonna add like maybe some like little sparkles around the star? Why not? We're whimsy. There, kind of like that. We definitely want to add our stickles on the bulbs. But I think that's it for the left side. And then we can work on her eyes and everything else in between coats of paint. So I'm just gonna grab, these stickles here. Mine don't have a name, it's just like a yellow. Could use gold. Should I use gold? Maybe I'll use gold. Yep, never mind. Okay, I'm gonna use these ones. They also don't have a name. They also don't like to come out. Goodness, let me grab a push pin here. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab a piece of paper, I'm gonna squeeze a bunch of these out onto it, and I'm just gonna use a toothpick, not a toothpick, cotton swab. It's a good way to do it if you don't, I just have a little bit here. It's a good way to do it if you don't want to fight with your, with the nozzle, because they definitely get clogged very easily. Or at least mine seem to. I like doing it this way anyways, because then the glue part of the stickles dries a lot better, a lot faster. Let's put some on the star. Maybe on these stars too. Just gonna make sure we didn't miss any ornaments. Let's put a little bit on these guys as well. gonna tip my book a little bit here. Where was that one? There's one that doesn't really have much on it. This one here. I don't think there's anywhere else that I really want glitter, so I think that's probably it. I do want a little bit of glitter on the present. I want to make that like a little bit glittery, but I want to use clear glitter for that. Okay, let's get our... Used all of our color swatches, which is good because then I don't have to go through them. I'm gonna grab some stuff. All right, so I have some water. I have a brush that looks like, sorry about the mic. I have a brush that looks like this. Any kind of brush that has like a pointed tip should work just fine. I have a cloth to wipe my brush off on as I clean it. And then I have some Daler Rowney Simply Acrylic. Any white acrylic paint will work for this, or gouache if you have it. Gouache is a little bit thicker, so you'd have to be a little bit more careful if you want like a translucent kind of look. But anything should work. You know, I didn't think this whole stickle thing through actually. Let's work on, I might have to flip her upside down when we're working on this other side, I'm sorry. I don't like doing that, but I have no way around it because I can't. I can't. Our stickles, my stickles are pretty much already dry anyways, even though I literally just put them on. So we're just going to go from the center and then use flicking motions, flicking over the outline of this. And try and create the illusion back here. It's going to be a little bit harder. We basically just want to keep building this up until we're happy with it. It's a little bit tedious, it's a little bit time consuming, and it is 100% worth it. The main part is just being very careful. can definitely start slow, and as you get more confident and comfortable with it, you can kind of go a little quicker. I do this quite often, so it's not too scary for me, but you could definitely practice on a sheet of paper if you're worried. Kind of work backwards in areas like this. It's not as effective, but it at least makes it not look, it like not stand out. It looks like it's part of it, at least. That looks super cute. I don't think we'll need too many layers here. I kind of like the blue showing through. Let's let this first layer dry, and as we let that dry, we can maybe grab our black Posca and we'll do her eyelashes. Just have to be careful. We're not doing too bad for time. Don't mind my dog. I'm gonna have to move my paint up here. I'm gonna have to move her around. Apologies. Okay, there's one side. I'm gonna have to flip it this way. For the other side, flip your book whichever way is comfortable for you. I always struggle with the right sides because I just can't find a way to flip it where it's easy to mimic paint. Where it's easy to mimic these. I always struggle. I'm gonna have to turn her a little bit more this way. My flicking in this direction just is not as fluid. I don't know why. See, I don't like that. It kind of globed up there. She's gonna have real thick lashes. Oof, okay. That's okay. I'm just gonna thicken up a few on the other side to make it consistent. It's all good. Let's see. See what we're working with here. It's not bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect these two, make that a little thicker, and then make her bottom one here a little thicker, and then thicken up maybe that one too. There. It's hardly noticeable. Another thing I'm gonna do that I've really enjoyed doing, I'm gonna spin her a little bit again, is, hopefully this is already dry enough. Maybe I should wait. I'm gonna wait, but I'm gonna add a highlight underneath her eyes. Definitely want to wait till that black paint is dry though, but we can do little sparkles in her eyes. Maybe add a little bit of white to her freckles as well. Cute. I just realized I did not finish this curl in her hair. So I'm not going to grab the swatch for it, but I'm just going to grab the jasmine. I'm just going to color over that. And then I'm also going to grab the dark umber. My swatches are all hidden under my pencils right now, so I really don't want to grab them. Just going to go over her eyebrow there. All right, our layer should be dry enough that we should be able to add another one. Apologies again for all the flipping and moving around. I try not to let the paint gob up much higher than the tip of the brush, because otherwise it might give you problems. So every once in a while I just completely wipe my brush off and just dip the tip in paint again and just keep going. So cute. It's been so long since I've done this, probably like a year, probably since the last Christmas page we did, which I can't remember which one it was, but I'm sure it had fur. Most of them do. Trying very hard not to bring the furry bits out too far. Okay, that looks good. Okay. I don't know if we'll need another coat. I'm kind of liking the opacity of this. You can keep adding layers until you're happy with it. I'm kind of liking this more like sheer kind of light fur. And the only problem with doing too many layers is then that blue base that we put on is completely gone, and then sometimes it'll start losing that textured look. Like it won't really look like fur, it'll start looking like a white block kind of thing. So you can definitely keep adding layers, but you have to be pretty careful with it. just going to turn this slightly. This one seems to be the one I'm struggling with the most. There we go. I think I'm just gonna lightly, well, not lightly, can't really lightly with paint, but I'm gonna carefully just add a little bit more here though. There. I don't think I put quite enough coverage on that because it was still a little too blue. Liking everything else though, it's nice and soft. It's really pretty. Put the lid on my water before I spill it. I just don't want that. Okay, carefully, I'm just gonna turn her this way. Gotta restart this apparently. There. I love how much that adds. Okay, so is there anything else that we want to add anything on? Maybe a little bit of a highlight on the pencil, perhaps. Bring out the white on a couple of these candy canes. Other than that, though, I don't think there's much else. Try to add the tiniest of white dots to the teddy bear eyes. I think that's pretty much it. I think the last thing I want to do is just make the present kind of look a little bit glittery, and then that's about it. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the ornaments because that just made my life way easier. These ones don't want to come out either. I think these stickles are pretty much done, so I'm actually going to cut into the bottle carefully. No, they're definitely not anywhere near done. I wonder if I can save them. I just opened up the bottle. I think I have like 2 of this kind, 2 more, but just, they don't want to come out, but look how much is left in here. I have to try and save this. So I'm going to grab a Q-tip, and just to show you guys here, this is what the stickles look like. So it's kind of like more pastels, but like a little bit bigger chunks. Oh man, there's lots in here. Okay, I think the fine liners that I used, yes, 100% might bleed. So just want to very carefully add this down without rubbing too much. Trying to use my light to make sure I have a decent amount of stickles everywhere and not like large spaces not covered. Oh man, the amount of stickles in here makes me sad. I'm definitely gonna have to try and save those. That nozzle must just have been completely plugged. I wish the stickles also came with like a screw off cap. So that way you could just like dip a paintbrush in them, not just like that tiny little nozzle. Like if this whole part here would just like turn. Oh well, okay, it is what it is. I think this is done. I don't really think there's anything else that I wanted to do that I missed, hopefully. I'm gonna zoom out. Here she is finished. I'm gonna try turning my ring light down a little bit. So that way the glare is not too bad. The color is a little bit more how it actually looks. Very shiny present. And we get some shiny stuff in the back. I could have made the ruler shiny, but maybe it's better that I didn't. Yeah, there she is finished. Definitely a labor of love. I'm very happy with how she turned out. I think literally the only thing that I am unsure of is that big bright red bow in the back, but that figures. That lines up with my weaknesses. I don't know what color I would have made it instead, maybe gray, but then it would probably blend in with the background too much. I don't know what color I would have preferred to make that. Maybe white. It's actually probably what I should have done, like a white gray. Yeah. Shoulda made it the same white as her hat. That's what I should have done. But it's pretty. I like it. It's the only issue I have with it. Everything else looks absolutely gorgeous. Super happy with the present. It definitely turned out good. I was a little bit worried about that. I really liked that blur effect at first, but then I just kind of stopped liking it. I'm going to turn this back up a little bit here because I feel like it's too dim. Yeah, I think that's it. If you guys followed along, I would absolutely love to see your guys' version. So if you want to share it with me, you can tag me using the hashtag DreamInColorAlong. You can send it to me on Facebook, just tag my profile on Facebook, Instagram, email it to me. I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm pretty easy to find. But yeah, I'd love to see your guys' versions. I hope you guys enjoyed following along. I hope you enjoyed the process. Hopefully you learned a few things along the way. I hope you like the outcome of your page. And I'm super excited to get her edited and up for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, take care, and hopefully I will see you next time. Oh, I'll see you in the new year, probably. That's exciting. Actually, before I leave, I also just want to remind anybody still watching that there will not be a color along for the month of January. I will remember to put a post up on the community feed as well, just to let everybody know. But yeah, no color along in January. I don't usually commit to a color along in December. I usually do a bit of like random filming, whatever I have time for, and then those will be the January videos, like completed pages and just maybe any random videos that I've been sitting on and haven't had time to do. If I can find the time, I'll usually get those out. But yeah, I think that's it. All right, guys, as always, take care, and I will see you in the new year. All right, guys, bye.